All right, people. Monday review. Well, Sunday recording. Monday review of the week time. This is gonna be a doozy. This is gonna be. Let's try and keep this 25 minutes. It's currently 38 minutes past 8. The goal is to have this wrapped up by about 9 o'clock. Let's see if we can do it. Can you guess what the main talking point of this video is going to be? Oh, it's going to be the card that we just watched last night, which was a the main event. I'll touch on it briefly, but let's talk very, very quickly about the undercard. So, Mark Chamberlain, who is one of the favourite fighters of Turki Al-Sheikh, got soundly beaten by Josh Padley. I have to say, I had no idea who Josh Padley was. He was a fighter, and this is the thing you remember about these small hall fighters. A lot of them are very good fighters. There's some absolute... Nick Ball was a small hall fighter. You can see some of his old videos on YouTube where he's fighting 4-rounders in front of basically nobody. Just because you're on the small hall scene doesn't mean you're a bad fighter. It's not a great way to make a living. In fact, you're really not going to make any living at all. Hence the reason you've someone like Josh Padley who still works on building sites. And he said this was a trial. So he did this camp full time, away from work, in the hope that maybe he could land a sponsorship, he could land a promotional deal. I think he will land it after this, and I hope he does. He boxed brilliantly, soundly beat Mark Chamberlain, dropped him in the 9th round, and Mark Chamberlain was meant to fight Dennis Bacik on the Fury versus Usyk 2 card. Well, good, thank God he didn't, because he would have got annihilated. Josh Padley has introduced himself to the scene in the lightweight division, and he even said himself that realistically he's not really a lightweight, he's a 130 pounder. So if he can get down to super feather, we've got a good little talented fighter here. I think he is. I was watching him and I was like, and actually, sorry, this was officially classed as a lightweight fight. They both weighed in at just below the 140 pound limit, so 2 weight divisions above where he normally operates. Credit to him. Josh Padley, as I said, small hall boxing, you're having to sell tickets. You have to pay out of your own money to get onto those shows. You have to sell tickets to recoup the money. You'd be lucky to come out with even $1,000, maybe, if you're lucky, between sponsorships and selling your tickets. And then you have to pay, obviously, some of that to your corner man, etc. So you're lucky to come out with barely anything. It's not worth your while fighting on the small hall show. But some of these fighters have to do it, and they have to work part-time. They have to take short notice gigs. And that's why some great fighters, well, not great, but very good fighters lose, because they just don't have the preparation. And Josh Padley, we found a diamond in the rough there with him. We really did. Josh Kelly, Ishmael Davis, that was a stinker. It really was. Be interesting to see if Ishmael Davis was a little bit more aggressive and had a full camp. But Josh Kelly, I mean, your first show on a Saudi show and you want to make Turki Al-Sheikh take notice, and instead you sent him to sleep. Well done. That's all I got to say on that fight. Doesn't deserve any more than that. Anthony Kakache versus Josh Warrington was a good little scrap, as I expected. Quite wide in favour of Kakache. Josh Warrington won more than his fair share of rounds. He didn't have a prayer of winning the fight, but, you know, it does make you question what the hell happened to Joe Cordina, because Joe Cordina was lighting people up. He was taking some good shots, and Josh Warrington, he's been knocked out twice now, badly. He took everything Kakache chuck at him, and he never looked in trouble at all. You know, and Cordina looked completely done after a couple of rounds. It was bizarre, really. Josh Warrington left his gloves in the ring, and I think that, it pretty much does indicate that he's retiring. Josh Warrington is a fighter who's given me... I've never been to one of his fights live, but I've enjoyed thoroughly watching his fights. And when I think back to some of the fights he's had, I actually get a little bit of a smile on my face because I've enjoyed them so much. I really like Josh Warrington as a human being. As a person, he seems like a great guy. As a fighter, he always entertained me. Might not have been the biggest puncher, but he always entertained me. And for him to hang them up at 33 years old, it shows that he just doesn't have it in him anymore, and maybe the will is not there. But he gave me some very good nights. I thank him for that. He was a tremendous ambassador to the sport of boxing, and he'll be sorely missed. He really will. Credit to you, champ. 2-time featherweight champion. Great going. As for Kakache, we'll see what he does next. Buatsi versus Hutchinson. I need to do a separate video on Anthony Yarde because we need him versus Buatsi. We need Yarde Buatsi. I expected Buatsi to win. He did. He looked, he was never in trouble, Joshua Buatsi. Never for my money was he in trouble in this fight. But early on, I thought that the better work was coming from Willie Hutchinson up until round 6, where Buatsi really took over. The body attack that Buatsi was doing was brilliant. If I have a critique, and it's a big critique, it's the defense of Joshua Buatsi was very poor. He got you with a lot of shots there. Willie Hutchinson didn't have much on them, but he was hit aplenty in there. Somehow, one judge, and I'd love to know what on earth this judge was on, but scored this fight in favour of Hutchinson. Completely bizarre. I don't know how they did it. I genuinely am looking at that like, how did they find a round? Well, obviously he won rounds, but not enough to warrant a split decision. Don't know how they got arrived at that, but there you go. We need Buatsi versus Yarde, simple as. Then we had Hamza Shiraz versus Tyler Denny. Nightmare start for Tyler Denny, down within the first 10 seconds. The size difference looked insane. I mean, it really did. He was down again in the second round, and I know Tyler Denny, upon reflection, was never going to win this fight. He wasn't going to win it. But he should have been given a chance, and he wasn't. And that was an early stoppage, too early, in my opinion. Now we get to the main event. I didn't give Daniel Dubois much of a chance in this fight. As I said, a big enough puncher to knock out Anthony Joshua, certainly. If you had said he'd come through a firestorm, he'd come up off the canvas to drop and stop Anthony Joshua, I would have said yeah. I would have said yeah, okay. Yeah, could say it. He hits hard enough, and there's no way Joshua can take a big shot from Dubois. Certainly not. But I just thought Joshua would find his range early, and he would light Dubois up, and he'd really put Dubois in his place. He didn't. This was a Hail Mary beating. Like, this was a tremendous beating that Anthony Joshua took. He will not be right from this fight. No way. No way. It was weird because going into this fight, I really didn't... I thought there'd be an upset on this card, all right. And I thought Josh Padley was the upset. It wasn't. It was this fight. And it's just the nature of that win for Daniel Dubois. I just couldn't envision a more dominant display. Still watching it today, and I've watched it a couple of times, it shocks me how one-sided it was. And I look at that and I just think, how does Joshua come back from that? I cannot envision how Anthony Joshua comes back from a loss like that. There's got to be no way. I'll talk about it now in a sec, but before I carry on talking about the Joshua fight, I want to talk about the fights that happened as part of UFC Fight Pass in Dublin on Friday night. They were in the Tree Arena. And I watched a couple of the fights. I seen Craig O'Brien. Now, if you heard that name, he fought Anthony Fowler and he fought Kieran Conway back in the day. He done very well against Kieran Conway, got knocked out by Anthony Fowler. That was on the undercard of Dylan White versus Joseph Parker. Well, he got a win over Edward Donovan. Split decision, technical decision. Should have been unanimous, really. But a good performance by O'Brien, who's in his mid-30s. And there's another fighter right there who, if he was able to do... Because I'm telling you now, he is a talented fighter, even still at 34. Very talented fighter. He could have done something at 154 pounds. Not saying he would have won a world title, but he could have cut it at British level. Easily. He had the talent for it. He's taken Edward Donovan, the brother of Paddy Donovan's scalp. And at the very... Now, forgive me. I'm going to butcher this name. I'm going to try it. Prauswal Runzatsky. I think is how you say that guy's name, right? Basically, this guy fought Josh Kelly and Michael McKinson, and he went the distance with both guys, right? Went the distance with Josh Kelly back in 2019, and he went the distance with Michael McKinson back in 2021. Callum Walsh, who was a fighter based out of America, but he's originally from Cork, 23 years old, King Callum, knocked this guy out. Big left hook. Go and type it in. It's a big knockout. It's a good knockout. This guy went the distance with Josh Kelly, Michael McKinson, Callum Walsh. One punch knockout. Boom, it's over. Great highlight reel knockout. Really, really good. Callum Walsh, Dana White Tom Loeffler was the promoter. Dana White was obviously there as well, and he was talking about bringing Callum Walsh to Cork to headline a show there. The last time I went to a show in Cork was 2019, and it was in a basketball arena. And I just went because a few of my friends, actually Craig O'Brien was on the card I went to see. I actually bought the tickets off him. And I've been to Cork since then, but I haven't been to a show there. Surely you wouldn't do it there. It's too small. It's like the York Hall off Wish would be the best way to describe it. And where would you do a big show in Cork? Cork is a big place, but it's it's easy to get from Dublin to Cork City. It's not particularly easy to get to other places, even from Cork City, because it's a very big county and not the greatest motorways, if any. So where would you do that show? But I'd quite like to see it. You know what? If they did a show in Cork with Callum Walsh on it, I'd probably fly over and go to it. I would, because Cork's a nice city. I like Cork. I like County Cork. That was the fight. Now, I do know Jaime Munguia fought on Friday night, got a knockout win, as too did Richard Torres. That was on a top-ranked show. I haven't got a chance to even look at them yet, so I don't even know how good Munguia or Torres looked in their respective wins. I really don't. That was Munguia's debut with Top Rank as well. So, let's talk about the fallout. Oh, we got to be talking about the fallout from Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois. Prince Nassim Hamed has urged Anthony Joshua to retire. I think he should retire. And as soon as that video went live on YouTube, I think it was Boxing Social or Boxing News who released it, instantly got like thousands of views. People, like Naz is never going to live that down. He's calling for him to retire. Carl Froch on his YouTube channel said the following: Joshua got battered from pillar to post. Can't argue with that. The worrying thing for me is every time Joshua got clipped on the chin, his legs were gone. His powers of recovery were awful. Again, you know, you could say what you want to say about Carl Froch. And yeah, I think that when he talked about Anthony Joshua, jealousy is maybe not the wrong word, but he's got to be a little bit harsher. But I can't not agree with what he's saying here. This is the problem when you get silk pajamas, you don't want it anymore. I question Joshua's desire to be in that boxing game anymore. Joshua went down face first, something in the air, little break dance, move on, come on, I'm not being horrible, but that's no way for a soldier to go out. Well, what are you insinuating? Are you insinuating, look, he was knocked out, there was nothing he could have done. Credit to him for trying to get up. I would say that that's a valiant way to go out, to be fair. You know, I mean, Joshua wasn't trying, obviously. He was trying, his legs wouldn't do it. He was knocked out. That's a valiant way to go out. He tried his best to get up. He couldn't do it. Are you insinuating that you want to see him go at it again, have a fight again, go out against someone? Listen, I'm not going to necessarily say I don't agree with you on that one, Carl Froch, if you're watching this video, which I doubt it, but you never know, strange things have happened. I'm not going to say I disagree with you necessarily. If he wants to have one more kind of goodbye, farewell fight in the O2, I will be for it, you know, against a certain level of opponent, of course. But if you're talking about him going and trying to redeem himself against Daniel Dubois, listen, did you ever redeem yourself against Andre Ward? You got completely schooled by him. And people always say, well, Andre Ward's a dirty fighter. Carl Froch said Andre Ward fought a completely clean fight. So he didn't even need to be dirty against you, Carl Froch. What does that say? There you go. So that's what I got to say on that one. So Carl Froch really coming down hard on Anthony Joshua. Tony Bellew, of course I'm shocked. I got it completely wrong. A lot of us did. One guy comes out, lets his hands go. Joshua starts and he's fencing. It was the wrong approach. I hope he says he wants the rematch, because Joshua, when he lets his hands go, is one of the most destructive heavyweights in the world, or the most destructive in the world. Tonight he didn't let his hands go enough. Dubois is world champion. I give him all the praise and credit. I do think Joshua can come back. I know he can. See, people like Tony Bellew are the people you don't want in your team, because they'll get you hurt. I know he can. Bellew, he got absolutely annihilated from pillar to post. You say it's as simple as letting his hands go. Well, he didn't let his hands go against Usyk. Why didn't he? Because he knew, if I let my hands go, I'm going to get countered and I'm going to get hurt. If he lets his hands go against Daniel Dubois fought the way he always fights. He comes forward, he applies a bit of pressure, he uses his jab, he throws big shots, and he tries to overpower you. Joshua made so many, and you're not even addressing the fundamental mistakes he made. He was upright, his hands were low, he was dropping his jab. They're all fundamentals. It's not as simple as saying throw more punches. Look at your defense. That was the big problem. That's why you kept getting clipped. It wasn't just as simple as we didn't throw enough punches. Floyd Mayweather doesn't throw a lot of punches, but he was always good with defense, wasn't he? Tyson Fury has told reporters that he wants to fight Daniel Dubois after the Alexander Usyk rematch to become undisputed champion. I've got to fight the effing rabbit. I'm going to take the belt back once again, and then I'll fight Daniel Dubois and take that belt off him. That's my plan as well. Yeah, Tyson Fury was even saying as well that Joshua cost him, or Daniel Dubois cost him £150 million fight. Well, yeah, he probably did, to be fair. He genuinely probably did, actually, to be fair. In terms of... I'll talk about that later. In terms of Anthony Joshua, what he does next, I think I've already addressed it, and I have a separate video. It will either go up Sunday night or Monday afternoon at some point, but either way, it's there in the pipeline. It's there in the pipeline. In terms of what I think Joshua should do next, if he wants to try and carry on at world level, the only option is the rematch. It really is. I don't see him winning it. I don't think he can come back from this. He's 35 years old nearly. But that might be the only option for him. If he wants to go out with one last fight, then yeah, maybe going to the O2, Dylan White, someone like that might be an option. In terms of Daniel Dubois, you have Joseph Parker, you have Zhilei Zhang, you have Martin Bakoli. You've got all these guys looking for a piece of Daniel Dubois. Dubois beating Anthony Joshua, it's a changing of the guard. It genuinely is. It really, truly is. Joshua would have been about 27, 28 when he beat Klitschko. And that really... I'm going to say Tyson Fury ushered in the new era. But that solidified that we were in the new era when Joshua did that. And this may be the start of the new era. I think it might be. I don't necessarily think it's going to usher it in, but I think this may be the start of this new era. And I'm looking forward to it. I don't think we have the characters... we don't have the characters that we had in the previous era, but we still have talent, and a lot of talent. And I think this era is going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And Dubois, with that win, has catapulted himself onto the world scene. And in the eyes of the British people, they're going to flock to him after that performance, especially the manner of it. Good Lord. So Dubois is going to be one of the main guys in this new era. It's crazy because I remember watching Ruslan Chagayev versus Lucas Browne in 2016. And that was when the heavyweight division was really taking shape with this new era. Klitschko had just lost. Wilder and Fury were having the face-offs. All this was happening. And Barry Jones on the Box Nation commentary for that fight said, Chagayev is the old guard like Klitschko. And Fury, Wilder, Brown, White, etc., all these heavyweights, these are the new crop. And it's crazy to think that we're seeing the end of them now. We're seeing them all. Their time is coming. Fury, Usyk, Joshua, Wilder, White, Povetkin, etc. They've got one. They're all either gone or got one foot out the door. And it's crazy to think that. This era has been amazing. And it's just, if I had only one complaint, it's gone by too quick. Well, I was younger when these all started. Now I'm older. That's crap. Eddie Hearn has said that they may try and make Fury versus Joshua next if Fury loses to Alexander Usyk again. As explained, we have another fight with Riyadh Season and His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. Dubois is part of the plan, but we could do Fury or another heavyweight. We fancied winning tonight. And facing the winner of Fury Usyk. Now we may end up fighting the loser of the fight if it's Fury. Do you know what? Yeah, I could see Joshua versus Fury, but the appeal has now kind of well and truly gone. And if it's both guys coming off losses, I mean, like that just... it's like Amir Khan, Kell Brook all over it again. I'll watch it, but the appeal is nothing like what it should have been. It's nothing like what it should have been. Alexander Usyk on Dubois, KO on Joshua. It's boxing for me. It's a surprise. I was expecting Anthony was going to win this fight. Alexander Usyk is the GOAT of this era of the heavyweight division. You know, to put it in context, he has in his last 5 fights Derek Chisora, Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois, Tyson Fury. Chisora has just beaten Joe Joyce. Anthony Joshua, former unified two-time heavyweight champion of the world. Daniel Dubois, IBF heavyweight champion of the world. Tyson Fury, two-time heavyweight champion of the world. All fallen to this man. And all fallen comprehensively. In fact, you could really, seriously argue that out of those 5 names, Derek Chisora did the best. And that's not actually, like, I'm not saying necessarily, but you could make the case. You could make that case that Chisora did the best. Alexander Usyk is the flippin' GOAT of the heavyweight division of this era. He is. There's just no ifs or buts, two ways about it. There absolutely is. On some good news for Matchroom, Jesse Bam Rodriguez has extended his contract with Matchroom, so he's got a multi-fight deal. Great signing for Matchroom in the US. Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach could take place on December the 21st. That could be taking place in Washington, D.C. That will be taking place in the wee hours of the morning, obviously. So that'll be I'll be home, as in here, for Christmas. So I'll be home by then. So I'll be a busy boy that day. I'll be a busy boy on December the 21st. Because one of the things, I'm going to be home for Christmas. So I'll be home a lot that week. I'll be probably home in mid-December from London. So yeah, it's going to be a busy Christmas week. Believe that. Jerome Boot Dennis will defend rematch against Karen. Okay, I'm going to try it. Chuck Adzina. All right, good. The first name is easy, but goddamn, that second name. He will defend his world title against him in a rematch. The first fight wasn't great. Boot Dennis beat him soundly, and he's going to have to rematch him. But we are getting Bam Rodriguez on the undercard, which is a good little scrap. It has to be. That is going to be a particularly good little scrap. One thing I will say before I finish up here, and I'll probably do a separate video on this as well, man. I'm a busy boy with the videos. Seriously, if I don't hit 30k like that, something seriously effed up. But Tyson Fury was obviously at the fight last night, and he's been talking up a game about Alexander Usyk. You know, oh, I have to knock him out because, you know, they won't give me the decision. Well, why won't they give you the decision? Because of the conflict in his country? Get the F out of here. You were beaten comprehensively by the better man. End of, and that's it. Facts. Look at the punch stats. Look at everything. You were beaten. Simple. At that fight, Tyson Fury normally, if you think about it like this, right? When he was at the Riyadh show, when he was at the Joshua versus Ngannou fight, he was suited up. He looked in good shape. He's wearing a black t-shirt. Now, black is something that a lot of people wear when they're trying to disguise. You look a little bit slimmer than black, right? Lots of people do. You see people who wear black, and you know, then you see him in white, and you're just kind of like, oh Jesus, there's a little bit more timber there than I thought. He wore a black t-shirt, and even last night he still looked out of shape. And someone said it to me in the live stream. Was he the only person? Like, no, mate, you're not the only person. I noticed that too. And if he'd have worn a suit, he could have been looking like what's his name? Well, I just call him the Kingpin. I forget what his real name is. The guy from Spider-Man. Something Fisp, I think his name is in Spider-Man. But he would have been looking like the Kingpin out of Spider-Man if he'd have worn a suit. Whereas Alexander Usyk, never see him out of shape. It'd be weird if you did, because you never see it. Tyson Fury, with the rematch 3 months away, he is actually going to start that camp having to lose weight. Whereas Alexander Usyk is going to have to start that camp just picking up from where he left off. You see the difference in preparation right there. Simple. I think I'll leave it there. I think that's pretty much it. It's been a weekend dominated and absolutely flipping dominated by Joshua versus Dubois. And that's really all it's been. So I will leave it there. Lads and lassies, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you all have a great week. I hope we're going to have a busy week this week. And I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see where this week goes. And I'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, you haven't already. Peace.